And we're back.
We're back. How do we do
We're
this,
back.
Jill?
We're back on another one. I made sure to wear the same outfit as the last time, stains and all. Are you?
We've like time traveled again. Is that what is happening? Or I
Yeah.
don't know.
We're now 3 days later than what we were previously, which was 3 weeks later than where we are standing in time right now. For anyone that likes to know all the deets like that, it is currently August 16th, even though you're not seeing this on August 16th.
Yeah, yeah. I think we might be in contention for the Nobel Prize in Physics.
Please let me be there when you tell them that. Because I don't know, there's part of that that's given like maybe some Olympic breakdancing vibes there. Like
Just a little bit of delusion.
so
That poor
bad.
woman.
All right. So if you are joining us now, what we are going to do today has actually been suggested to us on more than one occasion. And what we're going to do is we are going to go through and look at sold auction items and see what prices are looking like. Because, we have done some live streams of auctions and they're fabulous and we love them. But girlfriend can't live stream for 8 hours straight. It's too much. I
Yeah,
can't even watch an auction for 8 hours straight.
yeah, they do go on very long. And most of the time, with the exception of, I guess, some like Dana auctions are often, a textile auction would be all quilts and textiles and things, but many of them are furniture and art and jewelry and other things, and then quilt.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
do end up with like a significant time investment if you're gonna sit and watch a whole auction.
Well, and the last one we watched was our friend Dana Balsamo's Dana Auctions, where she was doing the Bobbie Og collection.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very end of that collection was a bunch of like fabric sample swatch books
Yeah.
that we were really curious about, but you and I died well before we got to that. I was trying to like keep an eye on it, sneak back in. And again, once I'm hitting like 4 or 5 hours, I am so crispy. Like, I don't know how Dana does that all day. And she's got to do an auction call over and over and over. So I never went back in and peeked. So the nice thing is that like we're going to go back in and see how things did. And that
I'm interested to see.
And then we're going to look at another auction that Stephanie hasn't seen at all. It was one that I was sneaking in, creeping on, and it just mentioned some things to her, but she hasn't seen anything.
Based on the one thing you showed me from that auction, I was like gobsmacked. I can't wait to see the rest.
So announcements real quick. If you didn't watch our last video, we will be starting the soft covers for hard times. Our first day talking about this will be the 10th, which is when we'll be back from seminar. And your assignment in this book is the preface, intro, and chapters 1 and 2. So that's pages IX through 37. And that'll be on Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz. If for some reason you still haven't got the book and you want to get it last minute, there have been links in all of the descriptions of videos where we put lots of goodies for you to get it. There are affiliate links from Amazon and Abe Books that throws us a few cents every time you guys buy something that, helps us keep the lights on. So go in and do that. And then real quick here is our September calendar. So by the time you are seeing this video, you will be here on Friday the 6th. All the red again is because we are at seminar. We can't do scheduled streams. Keep your eye out on Instagram, Facebook, things like that for maybe we pop up real quick and do something. Last year we did pop into Steph's Twitch and did a live stream from her hotel room for a little bit. We just never know what the Wi-Fi is like. So just keep an eye out. The 10th, we go back into our regular schedule, except for the fact that on this 13th, instead of Stephanie doing her stream on the 12th, we are going to do a dual stream for QuiltNerding and Cake TV, all about seminar and what it was like. And we'll have pictures and maybe some video and, things like that. So you want to pop on for that because that's all the fun tea
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a big one. We're gonna have I'm sure, lots to talk about.
Lots. And the 18th will be another Needlework Nights. We're going to talk about Mauchline Sewing Tools. And then, which you're not seeing here because it's technically will be the 1st of October, we have an interview with Merikay Waldvogel that will be live. So you want to stick around for that. And then one other thing here. Where did it go? I keep losing things. That and that. Just a reminder.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah. That Stephanie does have, this is her shop here, which has all kinds of cool goodies on it. So like play around in it. But this is where you find all the merch that people love to have, t-shirts and bags, some Dr. Dutton stuff if you've been around long enough for that, Cake TV. And then this is this right here is a new shirt that she recently designed. So this is where you get that. It has always been in the description below, especially down the bottom where it's like places you can find other stuff from Jill and Stephanie. So don't forget about that. Now, we will go into Dana's first. You can see this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So as a reminder, Stephanie and I both bought something from this auction. That was not the plan.
Not the plan. And it was also the reason why I was like, I won a thing. I'm done watching this auction. Because God forbid I find something else I like. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's really interesting here is one of the things that we were originally looking at was this Sue quilt. Come on, open. Good Lord. Which, Steph, you've already got one of these.
I've got a very similar one. Yeah, I've got a similar one. I like this one because I like the checkerboard. I thought it was kind of cool. Mine is a little nicer, if I must say so myself. It doesn't have a checkerboard. It's got like a pink inner border and then a pink outer border. I believe I may have purchased it from JA Antiques and Vintage.
In the parking lot of a diner.
Indeed. But it's the same little lady. You know, she's like this grown-up Sunbonnet Sue.
Except I don't think she's as pigeon-breasted as these ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but I kind of just feel like mine's a little better. I do call mine Pink Pigeon Sue, but yeah, this one's kind of charming though because there's like some rickrack and some other little
this one I think so. I think these girls are just a little more bedazzled,
bedazzled,
but also pigeon-breasted more. But what was so interesting, because we were watching this live, is that this one went for $550.
Yeah. And I was really surprised.
There is this opinion that Sue is not very interesting, especially after that whole Death of Sue quilt and whatnot and the attitudes of that.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you're not into, you know, just all out killing Sue with the sunsets on Sunbonnet Sue, if you just do a Google search, Sunbonnet Sue, you could spend probably a month scrolling through Sunbonnet Sue things. So she's so ubiquitous. She's like, you know, I just feel like people kind of look at Sunbonnet Sue quilts as like, you know, they're things that grandmas made for their grandkids. And
yeah, so it was nice to see this go for so high. And just for a little plug here for Dana and her auctions, just if you notice here, if you're not sure what some of this is, this buyer's premium and 18%, that's a pretty reasonable buyer's premium compared to some other stuff that Stephanie and I have seen. Upwards of, I think 30% is the highest I've seen so far.
Yeah.
And that's a percentage you pay on top of this hammer price here, which is $550. So the person that bought this quilt paid an additional $99. So they paid $649 for this. And then did shipping start at 20 or 25?
I think it's 25. I think she had to go up on her postage a little bit.
All the postage went up. Yeah. So if that's the case, the person, if they had this shipped, paid $674 for this. So, but that is a very reasonable buyer's premium. Just FYI, if you're shopping around for stuff, and you
it's
have
a little
to really pay attention.
Yeah, when you first get into auctions, it's a little bit of like, I guess, a sticker shock when you find out like, oh, I'm not just paying that price I won the item at, but I'm also paying a premium. And, that's just how auctions work. That's how the auction house is able to survive. And it's just something you have to keep in mind when you set your budget. And you really should have a budget for auctions because you can so get yourself in trouble. Ask me how I know.
Ditto.
When you're like, I bought how much? Oh no.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know the story, I had been shopping in a Maryland auction that I want to say I asked Steph if she would go pick them up for me. I semi-voluntold her.
I think I volunteered. I think I offered.
Well, I was gonna say like it was to your mutual benefit because she ended up with some of the quilts that I had purchased, but that bill was a little like, oh,
yeah,
because stuff adds up and you're really not paying attention. So I was also pleasantly surprised to see that this like 1920s boudoir quilt
that is such a pretty quilt.
Yeah, had gone in like 325. And this one, this is one of the ones too that had been published in this book. And the quilting on it was just stunning.
Yeah, so that fabric, I think it's acetate. It's like a very like silky kind of it's a type of rayon. I recently learned it was new. So if this is circa 20s, that acetate stuff I think wasn't even invented until like the 1900s, the early 1900s. So this is a new fabric at that time.
Oh, her shipping's actually $30 now, and then $5.
Oh, is it? Okay, it went up from 25 then.
Yeah. It's $30 and $5 for packing the same box. $5 for each additional quilt, which is very reasonable. Just so everybody knows. So in terms of, because Steph and I do look at quite a lot of auctions, we have shopped in multiple auctions. Dana has very reasonable prices, and if you're watching this, like, hi Dana. This
yes, if I may just chime in on acetate.
Yes, acetate.
And I'm only saying this because I learned recently because I have this rayon glossary handbook. The acetate process of turning cellulose from cotton and wood pulp into an acetate fabric was first commercialized in 1919.
Wow.
So the very earliest that quilt could be would be 1919.
So I think the 1920 is a good mark.
Yep.
There were quite a lot of
this was another interesting one.
Yeah, this one was very interesting. I actually think I might have bid a couple of moments on this one, and then it was a little too much for me. But I mean, pleasantly surprised it went for $425. I thoroughly enjoyed all this circular work.
Yes.
Just very, very interesting, very unique. I don't. It really
that is so many circles.
Yeah,
so many circles.
Like it makes me wonder. Like, was it made by like Mary Witherwax's like great granddaughter who loves circles?
Yeah, well, probably Mary Witherwax's granddaughter. I mean, even one of her children could have made this based on the date. But yes, Mary Witherwax, if you don't know, is a reproduction. It's a quilt that a friend of ours reproduced the pattern, and it's lots of little shapes and things, but my gosh, she loves circles. So many little circles, and some of them are like the size of like the eraser head on a pencil. It's so tiny. So bless that person for their love of circles.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that this one here with like this peach thing that only went for $140, just because it's interesting compared to all these others. I'm not gonna lie, by the time we were done with all these double wedding ring lots, I did not want to see another double wedding ring quilt for a few days at least.
Yeah, and I have to agree,
most I've ever seen.
I even collect double wedding rings, and I was done with them by the time I was watching. Bobbie Ogg must have loved them because she had quite a few. Assuming that these are all Bobbie Ogg, I'm not sure. I do know
I
that
think.
Dina, I think in the little auction listing, there may have been a few quilts in here that are not Bobbie quilts. They were just,
Mhm,
her inventory, but
mhm. I,
nonetheless,
I could definitely get on board with this pickle dish here,
the
though.
pickle dish, yeah.
Yeah, that one was really, really interesting. But yeah, see, we're still in the double wedding ring. I'm already over them, even though I don't even have like I don't have any in my collection. Um, but I ended
What
up
that
buying
click on
something.
that yellow one. I can't I'm trying to
This one,
remember. The one that oh no, all the way on the left-hand side, the one that's
one.
adult, yeah. 170, yeah.
What are
I'm
you
trying to
trying to
remember
remember?
what I'm just trying to remember what it looked like up close. Yeah, okay. This is the one that was like super scrappy. Um, and I myself might have bid on this if it wasn't for the fact that I was after something else. Which I don't think we've gotten to yet. So
Yeah, no, this one was pretty. And again, a lot of the Bobby Og stuff have been published.
yeah, it was in her books, yeah.
Um, yeah, we haven't, and we also haven't gotten to the one that I I ended up winning, which we will have to do. We're not going to look at this entire auction because that's a lot.
There was a lot of stuff in here. Yeah.
We wanted to look at Oh, did you want to see the chalice? You really liked the chalice.
Oh yeah, the chalice was interesting, and I feel like that one did pretty well in this auction, didn't
Yeah,
it?
all things considered, it
The
did very
goblet.
yeah, like
This one just
it's within her estimate, but I thought maybe this one would be under $200 just because
Mhm.
it's a chalice and like,
Yeah, it's
but
fairly plain. It's not difficult. But this reminds me so much of modern quilts that are kind of like this. It's very scrappy, farmhousey kind of.
Mhm,
But it's a thing, an object, and people love to make things
mhm.
today that are,
No,
it
I
looks like an
totally
object.
would have, if it was, underselling, I totally would have gotten on board with something like that just because it's so interesting.
Mhm.
Um, there were a number of these star quilts. There's another one
Yeah.
that's coming up that's like really just, oh my God, drool. And I went after it, but it went too high for me. Oh, didn't you
Yeah.
also really like this one?
I think there were two baskets maybe in this one that I liked. I can't
This
remember.
one was
Um,
very interesting. I think we thought it looked like a cactus. Yeah, it was like kind of cactusy like.
yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
That was very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one
I
was
I
really
definitely
fun.
would have considered that one, but again, it went for more than I was willing to pay because I paid a good amount for the one to buy.
Yes. Um, yeah, and the schoolhouse quilt, that one for 500.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember looking at that one too.
there are definitely people that love some
Yeah, I
themselves.
feel okay, so that I want to say it's that basket crib quilt that I came back to a couple times, like the pre-auction, when she just had the catalog up. But I think I looked at that one a
Mhm,
couple times because I thought that one
mhm.
was pretty neat.
It's very interesting. Well, and
Hmm.
it's claiming to be Amish.
Hmm.
Um, and then we did get into some modern stuff actually made by Bobby Og,
Right, yeah.
which some of the modern stuff really didn't seem to do super well. Um, here was a Carol Breyer Fowler mini quilt.
Hmm.
Commemorative quilts of Columbine. Yeah, like this palm trees applique only did $70. That's kind of a shame for modern quilts.
Yeah.
How are we already on page 3? Did I start on page 1? No, I started on page 2. That's why. Because I'm like, I know we've missed cool stuff. Because like this one, look at this one. This one went for 1,300.
Yes, and that was lot number one, right? I sometimes
Yeah.
feel like I'm like, does Dana front load the auctions? Because I always feel like it's like the first, I don't know, five quilts are usually like absolute stunners that somebody has clearly they've been waiting. They're just like,
Yeah.
okay, lot one's here. Let me get my bid on.
Yeah, this one was really incredible and again has been published.
Yeah, yeah.
Um and then that other one, this hexagon
Oh, yes, the
1600.
hexagon. Uh-huh.
Yeah, this one. I mean, now this is really great, but Oh, that's why we're dated. We're signed and dated. I
Mhm.
don't know if I remember that being. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
1850.
can't remember.
Yeah,
I
I don't
can't
remember
remember with this
noticing
one.
that. But yes, that obviously would raise the price significantly because
Yeah, I
half a
think
meter,
this
there's
one this
nothing.
one was already pretty high in the pre-bids, so I don't think I ever even really looked at it. You know, when I scroll through it, I'm like, oh, what a pretty quilt. I'm like, I know I ain't gonna look at it because I can't afford that.
Yeah, we were watching this one too. This one's very interesting because it's got the bedpost cutouts that are actually like kind of cut in and then
Oh,
circular
that's
instead of
right.
just a
I'd forgotten
square.
about that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the benefit of going back and peeking at the auction later, is because you forget, you don't know, you weren't paying attention. There was,
Mm-hmm.
too much kerfuffle. Then we got this awesome red, this like cut work here. That
Oh
went
yeah,
for
that was the
200.
Schnitt. Uh-huh.
This piece too is also very, very cool. I'm surprised it only went for 550.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these
There's the
baskets.
basket quilt I was in love with, that red one.
Now, I'm shocked this only went for 250. These baskets are
Mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah, because the little
Almost, and like
bow
from
and
afar, they look like eggs sitting in egg cups with bows on their head.
yes, but also I think what we realized about this one is those three little dots are not just floating dots. They actually had like I can't remember if it was stems or leaves or something that was fugitive, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's got
Um,
stems. Yeah.
yeah, they're either very pale or they're fugitive. Yes,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
fugitive. Yeah, it was a
Hmm.
green fugitive,
Yeah,
or
it
some
was
sort of
very.
fugitive dye.
If I had planned for just like a little bit more, I totally would have gone for this for 250.
Yeah, I did like this one. I thought that was pretty neat.
And then
Oh,
of
I
course
see
we
the
got
very
this.
top of a quilt you got.
Yeah, we got this gorgeous album quilt for 1800. I'm actually shocked that only went for 1800 because album quilts are a big deal. And
Yeah,
then
they
yes,
are.
I bought this cut work, um, which I'm shocked I got for 650. Which again, with buyer's premium and shipping, it was closer to like 800.
Hmm.
Um, but it is so incredible. Um, the quilting on it is incredible. Like the little applique stitching on it is incredible. Like I don't I don't know. I don't know why it wasn't a bigger deal. And has been published as well. Um yeah, I think
It's
it
always
I think
exciting to have something that's been in a book. I don't know
yeah,
why.
yeah. And and why was this such a deal? I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, did someone wipe their nose with it? Like I don't um I don't know. I don't know. I thought this one was really cool. Just how tiny all those little star pieces are
Yep.
was kind of nutty. Oh, and this is the one I did try to go after this one.
Oh, yeah, I'd
Um,
forgotten that one. I was still
yeah,
in the afterglow of mine because mine was right before this one.
yeah, I did try to go after this one, but obviously, it went for 950, and I already wasn't planning on spending like $800. I think I went into this auction being like, I'm really not here to buy anything. I'm just here to hang out. And you also were like, I'm not buying anything. And
Yeah,
then you got this.
yes, I had pre-bid on I think, well, I'm trying to remember. Maybe I hadn't pre-bid on the Eagle, but I did have my eye on it. And oh, I was so close to just letting it go at 300. And I was like, oh, I need this quilt. I need it so bad.
And then you were just like, just 25 more.
Yeah.
Like
Just
that's
25
what
more.
gets
And
us
I
with them.
won it. Yes, I
Yeah.
did. I won it at the very last second. I have done some research on it. I've talked about it a little bit in my stream, but I won't
Mhm.
digress us here. But it's got some interesting history. It is a kit quilt, but it's got some really interesting history.
And it's leading you down new research paths.
Yes, it is. Well, I was kind of already down those research paths, but it has expanded that view
Mhm.
greatly. So
So let us go down
yeah, I
to
want to look at
the swatch books.
the swatch books and those kind of things. I'm trying to remember, did she have were there any feed sacks or fabric? I feel like there were some fabric
There were
samples.
some fabric lots, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some antique fabric lots. Um, Interesting that these swatch books aren't showing any of the fabric. So some of these were just like small little swatch books, and some of them were like big big books. It's interesting to see where these go for, because see, like this small one here went for $10. But like this one here, French wool.
The challis, the wool challis that went for 850. Yeah. These I don't have a good understanding of like I know when I see something that's like, early 19th century or late 18th century chintz or something like I understand, like, yeah, that's going to be something that's going to bring in a big chunk of change. But other things in here, I don't quite understand, like, why is one thing so desirable, I guess, and maybe something else isn't, because I think some of these things, I know she's got like some 1960s and 70s.
Yeah, they're obviously not as desirable because they're not as rare.
Yeah. And I'd actually looked at those because I do have a little collection of some 60s and 70s fabrics because that's the era of quilts that I really like. So, I get it with those, but some of this other stuff, the things, they're all kind of about the same age, I guess, and I don't have a good sense of what is very, very collectible or desirable and what's just kind of like, meh.
So here's some of the other, like, a set of 1800s
loose quilt blocks.
Or you got the wood blocks for textile printing.
Yep.
Here's like some tops. I really liked this piece here.
Yeah, that was a neat one.
And I never noticed the little doggies.
Yeah, I had my eye on the dogs. The pansies were not, as desirable to me, but those little dogs were so cute.
And then like here you got like, so here's some of the fabric groupings with like toiles and things like that for like 200. Yeah, French cottons. So she was clearly also, a fabric collector. And I don't know, Julia Kelly Houdinis has a lot of French fabrics and things like that she sells. I don't know if she was a part of this auction at all. More so
I had my eye also on those patriotic textiles and the centennial stuff. Because that figures into some of my research, and that stuff was just a little too rich for my blood, considering I had just bought a $325 quilt.
That was more than $325 when all was said.
So we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, and then there's like some little like Sue kite type. What are these? Are these sunbonnet babies or?
Yeah, I think those are just kind of garden variety sunbonnet Sues.
Because it looks like there's the boy in here too.
Yeah, these are a little bit more like let's see, 1916. Interesting. Yeah, Drayton. Yeah, this is early on. This is
that's cute. For $25, I'm kind of disappointed you didn't get it.
Yeah, this is not the sunbonnet babies. This is just sunbonnet children.
Okay, so here were some of the bigger, so anti-swatch books, silk jacquards, and French silk jacquards. Yeah, I don't really know what's like. I have a feeling some of them that may have gone for more have more fabrics. I'm like, see how these swatches are pretty big. Like I'm wondering if like the books that like our friend Mia had, which were these big like tomes. Full of much smaller, so therefore a lot more swatches than others.
Right, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and honestly, some of these swatch books can be very small and not have a lot in them. And again, still be very desirable. I have a swatch card. I mean, it's like a folder, but it's literally just French silks on one page, and they're very small. And of course, I did not pay anywhere near these prices for it, but still, it's something that, from the collectability standpoint.
Well, in essence of time, let's move on to some other expensive.
I want to see this other auction. Talk to me about shaker knitting needles, man. That what you showed me, I was like,
yeah. So this is from New England Auctions. This was July 18th, Summer Americana Extravaganza, and like Steph said, this is just a menagerie. Although I will say, like, this yellow cupboard thing is really cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, and you know the thing is, I have a love-hate relationship with these types of auctions. I love Dana's auctions because she separates things into this is the textile auction, this is the vintage and antique clothing auction, this is the toys and decorative objects. She separates them. So I could say, like, you know what? As much as I would love to look at the toys, I don't have to because the textile auction is. These auctions, you'll discover things you never knew about, which is very cool. And you'll run down some rabbit holes. Sometimes you have a discovery that is so serendipitous. Also, you see cool things, but I think they're most challenging for me because I want everything. I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at that. And I'm just like, Stephanie, stop. You are here for textiles.
Well, so I was looking at this auction because there are some quilts in here. As you can see up in this corner, there's some samplers. This right here is a shaker thread basket here. So I was in here for quilts, some needlework, some tools and stuff like that. And there were quite a few interesting things. So this auction, we're going to pan through pretty quickly just because of time and we're looking for specific things. But we can put the links in the description so you can pan through more slowly. So for one, I was looking at these little pincushion spool stands that went for $4.50. Now they've got cool stuff on them. Like it looks like they've got a an emery, and it looks like they might have some wax.
Oh yeah, it's got little danglers.
Little danglers.
So they're dangling from it.
Yeah, it looks like it's
and
wax.
Those look like they are in a pristine condition.
Yeah, they're in very good condition. They're one's got a stamp on it.
Shaker stuff is very desirable and very collectible.
That's very collectible.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about the shakers other than, I know how to identify like a shaker box or basket, They are a New England sect, right? Or were a New England sect where I don't really know a whole lot about the history, and they don't exist anymore, right? Because they basically died out. Weren't they a celibate sect? And so celibacy in your religious organization does result in you eventually dying out. It's unfortunate to say. They were very talented.
They're very well known for their furniture making and I also am not like super well versed on their history, but they did make some really incredible things. I thought this shaker flour sack was very interesting. And look, that thing alone went for $400.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I'm looking at these rug whips because I just read a piece out of it. So it was a June 1974 Quilters newsletter that had a little article in there written by a woman who was talking about her grandmother's spring cleaning process and how they would untack the Axminster rug, which is apparently a type of rug. It gets its name from these Axminster looms that created them in England, and they would have their rug beaters or rug whips and beat the grime and dust out of the rug. It was such an interesting article, and I was trying to describe rug beaters. I was like, they're like these things.
They're just these things. Look at this little sewing lot here.
Oh my gosh, look at that cute stuff. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The little shoe. Oh.
And like these little doll girls.
Oh my goodness. And they're on top of like those things that are usually make pin cushions, except they look like they're not stuffed. So
it's it looks like it's just like wool that's
like triangular pieces. Yeah.
You've got some emeries and
so was that heart an emery? What was that?
This thing?
A little brown.
It's like a little pin keep. It looks like a little pin keep.
Okay, it's a pin keep.
Yeah.
I just love little doodads like this.
Woo! That got big. Wow.
And 225. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely collectible stuff.
Come on, internet. Good Lord. I'm being awfully slow today. Okay. So we've got some shaker advertising cards here that are framed that unsold.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Darning egg. Oh wow.
Then you got this little pin keep here with some other stuff. That went for $5.50.
Wow.
Here's just a shaker homespun blanket alone that was $2.25.
they were a plain people, right? Like
Yep.
they just, their stuff was not very decorative, but it was very,
Mhm.
very finely made, right?
Yes, very
Oh,
finely
look at
made.
that ratchet alarm. Is that like a
I assume so, but I don't know what it sounds like. I'm sure you can find
interesting?
a
See,
video on YouTube. Maybe that
and
was
this
their
is an
like
example.
community alarm clock.
This is the example of why it's so bad for me to look at these auctions because I'm like, what's that? It has nothing to do with textile, Stephanie. Move on.
Yes, move on. You can look at this later. I thought these shoes were really cool, just the way that they're shaped.
Mm-hmm. The
You
nitty
know,
naughty. That's an interesting looking nitty naughty. You know what those are,
such a
right?
weird name. I do not. Here's what you wanted though.
Yes. Oh, these little you sent me this picture and I was like, first of all, $1,100 for knitting needles? What?
It's because they come with the guards. Now you can find these guards like out in the world, and
Those are so adorable.
they often have a string, a ribbon or something holding
Right.
them together.
Uh-huh.
I have
I've
never
seen
seen them with the actual knitting needles.
right. So I've seen the little needle tips. There's a one. It's a pattern called Punchinello, and it looks like a little hat with a little pom pom, and then they have a string in between, and they go on the ends. But the boots, I mean, I know you said that you can find them, but I had never seen them before, and I just think they're so charming.
I
But the
love
knitting
how
needles.
I love how this
Much
like
money
thing
for
here
knitting
says
needles.
sold price excludes buyer's premium. Like
Well,
buyers.
yeah, you got to make that point.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to remember what did you say what the buyer's premium on this auction was?
I
Are they one of the
did
higher
not. I
ones?
want to say I think it's at least like 28% or something like that. Here's some shaker sewing carriers. I'm actually surprised that those only went for
I know.
150.
See, now something like this, I would have looked in, I would have thought. Now I realize that those knitting needles are very finely made.
Mhm.
And I would imagine that you really have to have a very straight, strong piece of wood. You don't
Mhm.
want something that's curvy. Like you can't just go grab a twig and make it into a knitting needle. But it's astounding to me that those would go for that much money, whereas something like that basket, that seems to me like, there's skill involved in making those. And
Mhm.
they would go for it. And I guess it's probably about the availability, right?
I I have never seen shaker knitting needles that I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
There might have been some
Yeah,
in my vicinity that I just didn't
sure.
notice.
Yeah.
I love this
That
drying
drying
rack,
rack is
and
really
and
neat.
it went for
Yeah.
$700.
So that like does it hangs on the wall and then those fingers
Yeah,
you could
folds
fan them
out.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. We got bonnets here. You got
The
bonnet
bonnet.
making supplies.
Oh my goodness. Now that's interesting.
Then you got
That
tape.
yeah, that stuff is very, very interesting to me.
Look at how much this sewing basket went for. Because
Mm,
this is a more unusual one.
mhm.
The one we were showing before, that's common.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I've seen some of these now recently where I've kind of been looking more at antique stuff and seeing shaker stuff. These are interesting because the way that the baskets have these like little inner baskets. And I feel like
mhm,
I've seen ones, these look like they're maybe tied on, but I've
mhm.
seen ones, it's almost like however they wove the basket, like around the top, as they got to the top, they were able to incorporate those little baskets.
Yep, I've seen
So
those.
they weren't really separate. Yeah, I had never seen anything like that. And when, of course it's shaker and I'm like, well, of course they were
Mm.
very fine builders of things. Um, but yes, how interesting and how just charming, I guess.
There's lots of stuff that is very charming and innovative.
Right.
Like,
Yes, I guess that's the word, innovative. Yeah.
yeah. So then here we have like a little shaker chatelaine. So this is
Chatelaine.
like a leather. So interestingly that it was only 150. Here's another sewing basket that's much plainer.
Mm-hmm.
250. We're gonna like wrap some
Mm-hmm.
some
A Swift.
yeah,
Yeah.
some oh my god, I
Oh,
can't
so you said
words.
you didn't know what a nitty naughty was?
Oh yeah. I feel like we've talked about this before, but
Yeah. So I mean, it's got that centerpiece. That's the
mhm,
handle, and then you've got these crossbars that are set at a different angle to each other,
mhm.
and you wrap your yarns around it,
Ah,
and you kind of do this with it as you wrap. and then you pull it off and you have your hank of yarn that will be the exact like length you need it based on the configuration of the Nitty Naughty.
Oh, fancy. Yeah. Little handkerchief holders.
That's interesting. Little, you don't just stuff your handkerchief in your pocket.
Apparently not.
I guess the Shakers didn't.
Yeah, you can get a cloak or an overshirt.
That cloak is interesting.
Lots of things to do here with seeds. Apparently there's a laxative. Here's some more little
even Shakers get constipated now.
Yeah. Here's some more sewing doodads. We got like a couple rolls here.
Yeah, that one roll reminds me of one that I think you have in your. I can't remember if it's in your collection or your inventory, but it's
no. This one I have one that's kind of similar-ish to this for sale right now. And then you got this little, look at that pink cushion.
Oh wow, yeah.
And then you've got this roll. Look at how cute that is with that embroidery on there. This one's in really great shape.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of makes me think like, how much of these items? I mean, I know the Shakers, they made items to sell. I mean, that was part of, I guess, again, keeping the lights on, but keeping their community together and profitable. But how much of this stuff, in terms of the sewing in the boxes and the things were made for maybe tourists or for their own use? That would be interesting to me to understand.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to go probably to
a Shaker expert.
And like really ask a historian. That's not something that so like of course everyone knows these kinds of boxes.
Right. Yeah. Still, good Lord. What was that? 3,800?
Yep, 3,600 for that yellow chrome.
36, yeah.
Yeah, here's some darning tools. So here's the big guns. I showed you this when the auction ended. And this
I remember this now. $26,000 for a sewing basket. Somebody really wanted.
There's a reason. There's a reason.
Okay.
So these aren't inherently rare. What's rare is this inside.
Okay.
Is to have all these spools and things in here.
And I'm guessing that little knob it's a thing that comes out. I think there's a picture of it.
And then you lift it up and there's a bottom.
Oh my goodness, that's very cool.
With, stuff in it.
Huh.
Yeah. Isn't that bananas? And then, like I said, I'm not sure. I think this is one of the higher end ones. So let's say it's a 28% buyer's premium. The buyer's premium was $7,280. So that was $33,280.
And we are positive that buyer's premiums go all the way up, right? There's no point.
I'm pretty darn sure. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for them if they didn't. And there's another box that is equally as bananas as that one.
Well, those little darning tools, 550. How many? Four of them. So they're more than $100 a piece. I have some darning tools that look just like that. They're just not Shaker.
Here's a little pin cushion and a needle book that went unsold.
Unsold. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Let's see, a knife box, a travel desk. Aha,
here's that cupboard.
One. Yeah, the cupboard went for $210.
And now is this red one, is it the same situation? It's got,
I don't think so, no.
Wow.
This one just has lots of stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got lots of stuff.
Oh my gosh. Like these prices are I can't quite wrap my head around it. Like You
That's
can
a
buy a top of
serious.
the line. You can buy a top of the line long arm for this much. I can
That's a
buy,
serious collector. Well, when I think about it, when I
yeah,
bought
I
my
can buy a
most,
car for this much.
I was gonna say my car when I bought it brand new in 2014, was like 26,000.
Hmm. I bought a car in 2013 that was like much less than this.
Yeah, those and this cupboard, I loved this cupboard, but yeah, 210,000.
240,000 or 210.
And
Oh,
there were some people really fighting over this red one. It had 26 bits.
wow.
Um, this yarn spool thing is pretty
That's
cool.
pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. 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 I'm blown away.
Come on, internet. Let's
And
go
I have
here.
to say, I am of Paula Needlestern's mindset of more is more. If you remember
Hmm.
in our Paula Needlestern video, that was one of her little comments was more is
Yeah.
more. But I have to appreciate the shaker stuff is just, it's very beautiful. It's just, it's so finely crafted. It's very minimalist. It's kind of like there's no bells and whistles. It's just what is needed there. Right. And I have a lot of appreciation for that.
Look at this little baby tender in a yellow paint,
What?
3,200.
So I guess you put the baby in there
I guess.
in the basket.
Yellow girl's dress. That dress is really cute.
It is.
But yeah, just
Yeah.
even like a little chimney cover here, 7,000.
So I'm assuming maybe that's not a shaker girl's dress because there were not shaker children.
Unless she started out as a girl
Well,
when her, like, do you know what I mean? Like if her parents joined the community or something and she was a
yeah, I
girl.
don't know how that worked.
But it doesn't say specifically shaker. So in the
I'm gonna
title.
have to
So
go down the shaker rabbit hole to find out what the deal
yeah,
with the shakers was.
go down the rabbit hole. Because yeah, I wouldn't assume
Money,
that like everything in here is shaker. Because like
money
notice.
wanted. Yes, please. These Norwalk slip containers are interesting.
So yeah, we're gonna just quickly go through because there are other things here.
Well, some little dollies.
Early cloth doll.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Boxes, painting.
Yeah, it looks like we've moved away from the some of the shaker stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What
This
is
interesting.
that?
This wallpaper thing is interesting.
Oh, okay. It's like a cardboard thing, right? It's the
Yeah,
wallpaper has been covered, yeah. That game board's interesting too. That very quilty looking.
quite a few game boards.
Yeah, this is like I guess I when I see stuff like this, I think of like early American, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Pook and Pook has, I feel, a lot of like Americana
Hmm.
auctions. The thing about their auctions is they move very fast.
Yeah. I had my eye on something that they had and man, it was over with before I even realized it.
Yeah. This inlaid knife box is very interesting here with this like hand.
Hands, yeah.
Here's a couple other hands.
Oh, the
Oddfellows.
Oddfellows hands.
This like casket thing is
Uh-huh, that's very
interesting.
oh, that's Masonic. Oh, that's interesting. I always the Oddfellows, the skull and crossbones or the skull is a really Oddfellows thing. So it's
There's
interesting that that
Oddfellows
was.
banners.
Hmm.
Those actually, I'm surprised they didn't go for more. One of them went for 100.
Oh wow, yeah. Oddfellows stuff.
Um,
There were a number of Oddfellows halls here in Maryland, in central Maryland that are actually one just right down the street from me.
Here's some trade signs. Ladies and gents, misses and children's, fine shoes, boots, and rubbers. If only we thought about what our words would mean later in life.
Oh,
Tourist.
that eyeglasses one is kind of cool.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, these are very interesting. Whirligigs. Yeah, this is definitely like the Americana stuff that I'm always like so fascinating, but it's usually way too rich for my blood.
Yeah, these weather vanes went for a lot of money.
Yeah, really
Over
neato.
a couple thousand each.
Here's a question. A lot of times with auctions, you don't really get a whole lot of provenance unless it's like
Mhm.
with Dana, she was transparent about the fact that, that was Bobbie Ogg's collection that we recently saw.
Mhm.
But you wonder, within our world, we often see, historic quilts come out and somebody will say, oh, I own that about 10 years ago.
Yep.
So this stuff gets moved around. And so you often wonder, like, I mean, those two shaker boxes that went for, tens of thousands. I mean, those to me didn't have any, I don't know if they've maybe got some characteristics that would make them obvious, but you wonder some of these things, how many hands have they gone through?
Oh, absolutely. I always wonder about its life before. Here's some gorgeous samplers. This one here with like this like weeping willow.
Yeah,
And
that looks like
in
it's
this
got some
house.
really dense needlework on it, or it's got some applique or something. I can't really tell what all that is at the top.
So it's likely just dense needlework.
Mhm.
$1,200. That other
Yeah.
one is $650. Some more in here. Like really gorgeous stuff.
Mhm. All made by 3-year-old children, basically.
Yeah. Still in the womb. Like after mama gave birth, the child came with another gift. Like
Yeah. It went right into its cradle with its a needle thread and some of that linen with the tiny
and,
weave.
and a youngster
Well, you're a
could tie
baby.
a
You have good eyes.
yeah, a little youngster could tie a mean knot. Yeah,
That's
there were quite a
those
few.
tiny fingers.
Yeah, I especially really liked this one. And of course, it's the one that went for $3,000.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, isn't that always the way? The thing that
Yeah.
is most attractive is going to be most attractive to
Oh,
everybody.
look at this one with like this like lady here. Okay, let's look at her. Let's see, early sampler. Oh, this one's actually age 17. So this one's an elderly person compared to
Yeah.
compared to
She's
the other one.
she's a sampler spinster based on that.
Yeah. 1700s. There is a Mary
Wow.
Howard listed in Vermont and Massachusetts as well as England.
Wow.
Look at that sophisticated lady with her bird.
I know. And I mean, that's probably just microscopic little cross stitches.
Oh, we got like a cow or something. I don't know why, I really like buildings on samplers.
I'm just always fascinated about what they put on the sampler. I know in some cases girls were doing this kind of thing in school. And it was about learning their alphabet and numbers and that kind of thing, and maybe some religious verses. But yeah, they've always got interesting things on them. What was our friend Dawn has one that she recently got, or I think it was one she recreated. She did a reproduction, and it says "Be not a dunce" in the middle.
Yeah,
like that's one of the lines.
I like that one a lot. This one's very pretty too, with like this butterfly and oh, I forgot there was a pocket.
Oh, yes.
I'm surprised that only went for 1,000, to be honest with you, although it's not a pair. I know pairs people really like, and it's cool.
Yeah. 18th century.
Yeah. Yeah, a pocket is on my list. Do you have a pocket?
I don't. I do have a book. I have the book about pockets, though. It's I think it's literally called Pockets or something like that. But it gets into, it's not so much the pockets, the antique pockets themselves, but it gets into like the feminist aspects of pockets. And I mean, it does talk about the antique ones, but it's an interesting book.
Every time now that I see pockets, I think of that. Look, it has pockets. Do. Yeah.
There are many times where I've been like, need to bring back the pockets, man. I will just tie one right on top of my jeans with their tiny, shallow pockets.
This one's very cool. This is a world map in needlework on silk. Those
pen wipes are cool.
Little hands.
Yeah.
Imagine like gripping your pen, right, with your like little tiny hands. So like
well, and then you go knit with your beautiful shaker knitting needles and your tiny little boot covers.
That has little booties. Chairs. Another, like, that is needlework.
Oh my gosh. I would have thought that was a painting.
Yeah.
It's a needle point.
4,600. I kind of want to bring back the bed warming pan.
Yeah, those rugs are pretty cool.
All right, I'm buying you this for Christmas. I want you to put it on your nightstand next to your bed.
Oh, I love stuff like that. And actually, it just says skull puppet head, but that looks like an Oddfellows type of item too. I've seen
Mm.
here in Maryland. I've seen some displays that have things like exactly like that. And they're Oddfellows.
Let's see. I'm pretty
Just
darn
a
sure.
just a quick like 10-minute warning.
Yep, we're almost at the end here. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty darn sure that this had a couple of quilts in it. Pretty darn sure.
Oh, that's
But
a very sad looking woman.
uh, which one?
You know, oh, which one? The one on the left.
I was gonna say they're both looking pretty sad. Well, someone thought that her sadness was $1,000. Wow, Civil War leather hat. Looks very uncomfortable.
Oh, lots of carved birds.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it really goes to show that, like, wow, that box thing is really cool. That it's, when you see an auction
Oh, that whale.
labeled like Americana, it really does do you justice to look through the whole thing, even if you think it's not something that you would be interested in. Wow,
Oh
that
gosh,
is
look at all of this
weird.
ivory stuff. Whalebone, yeah.
Yeah, this thing is weird.
Yeah, and I mean that's some old stuff because I mean, in terms of Americana, the whaling industry in New England, I mean, there's a point where that's like cuts off. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
harpoons!
Just what you were looking for.
Exactly. It's
Okay,
been on my
here we go. Here we
definitely been on
go.
my list.
Here we go. So we've got, let's see, Litchfield, Connecticut. Here's a nice sampler here. 2 Pennsylvania cover lengths. And now we get to the quilts. Look at that thing. Look at
That
that
is
thing.
stunning. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this was one that I was like, oh my.
Oh wow.
Yeah, look at
Oh
that.
wow.
Oh my God, look at that.
That is spectacular.
This like front picture hardly does that justice. You get
Yeah,
up
I
close.
mean that's like a polka dot fabric and right? It's
What, the red?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know sometimes when you see red fabric with polka dots, it's actually
So it's like a
it's
little like
fabric loss, but
clover. It's like a
yeah.
clover with like a white. Oop! Oh, what happened? Come back! Come back, please. I know. I mean, I like their function to zoom in. Okay, that's as much as I can zoom in.
Okay, I see it's a little figure. I was just saying, I know sometimes when you'll look at a red fabric and it looks like it's a dotted red fabric, and then you get really close and you're like, oh, that used to be like a black dot or brown dot that has been eaten away. And so you end up with this red polka dot, but that's actually red polka dotted fabric or little tiny figures.
Well, it's so
Wow.
great. And then look at that back. Yeah. That one was crazy. Crazy. Circa 1900. Provenance, estate of Stephen Score. Whoever that was. Copy and paste for high-res images. You know what? Let's just see what that means for them.
Apparently this is these are condition images, I think.
Now, can I zoom?
Might want to close your sign in because you've got your email addresses on display there.
Oh, I can. Oh, yeah, I can really zoom in. Well, there you go. There's your red print.
Oh my goodness. So it's not only like a little white figure, it's a little white figure with a little black figure on it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, New England auctions, I really appreciate those extra photos.
Yeah, that's nice.
I haven't seen anybody else do that. Thank you very much. Yeah, notice how like they hid the quilts like at the end. Like this one here is also very cool. I like this basket because like you've got a quilted basket here in the center.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a little hard to see, but yeah. These
Look
are
at
stunning
that one.
quilts. Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh, and that
This one
Amish.
here went for 2,200.
Interesting.
And then look at these. Look at the
Oh
sampler.
my goodness. Oh.
Are you bored? You bored, Steph?
Oh, I could look at quilts all day long.
But I think you're bored.
Oh, look at the provenance.
You know, I feel like I noticed that before. Yeah, I feel like I noticed that before. So this one has 18, was that like 1848
18.
or something?
Is that a 4? Yeah.
Kind of looks like an 848.
Hmm.
But like this, look at this cut work. Like
Yeah.
that is so cool.
Yes, it is. As an
Oh yeah,
applicator, that's some pretty stunning work.
it's 1845. Yeah, this is inked all over the place. Oh,
Beautiful.
you know, I really appreciate the provenance. Really, really, really. I wish they like almost like the lottery, like there had to be like a report of like who bought it. Just so like what if I wanted to study this quilt? I know that technically you can ask the auction house to maybe ask the person that bought it, like, can you connect? But
Mhm.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
A lot of times the auction house will be very tight-lipped about things. And it's a little bit disappointing because from the perspective of historical textiles, so much of it is not, you never get provenance depending on,
Mm-hmm.
where you come about things. I mean, we know Stella Rubin's a dealer, and we
Mm-hmm.
would hope that, she's got some history beyond that. But having the provenance of Stella Rubin really doesn't help because she's a dealer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
This star quilt is very cool. I like all the like just the cutout stars in there. And then I remember showing this to you because at the time we were reading the Crazy Quilts book,
mhm.
and this particular quilt, while not technically a crazy quilt, I found, it's still Victorian, and I found it
Yeah,
very
it's the fabrics and
visibly
stuff.
striking. Yeah, with the needlework and
Hmm.
things. It's crazy adjacent, like it's crazy
Yes,
cousin.
it's a fancy. Yes, didn't the in the Six Know-It-Alls when they did Show Us Your Quilts, the Facebook group did Crazy Quilts around the same time we were reading the book, and I think the consensus was these kind of things that utilize the same fabrics and the color and the stitching, but they're not crazy quilts. They're fancy quilts. They're Victorian fancies.
Look at this one. Oh,
Oh my goodness.
that is
This
so
this stuff
pretty.
is really beautiful.
There's a Nebraska crazy. Yeah, and I mean like, these got some pretty decent prices on them. Even this like this one with the zigzag border, which it doesn't look like it's in like the world's best shape, but it's just a very
Yeah,
interesting
still
design.
interesting to look at. Yeah.
And
I like
obviously others
that
agreed
green and
because
pink crib. Yeah, that green and pink crib quilt
mm-hmm.
with the border.
Mm-hmm.
I love stuff like that. So
Yeah,
awesome.
because well, and so did other people. It still went for 275. This
Hmm.
Amish bars is very interesting.
Hmm.
I love me a Mariner's
Oh my,
Compass.
any Mariner's Compass. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't go for more because a Mariner's Compass is a complex quilt.
Mm-hmm.
Delectable Mountains. Dr. Dunton loved him a Delectable Mountains quilt.
I really like this quilt a lot.
And that's a cool one because it's different colors. Often you'll just see them in like red and white or green and white.
And here's an Amish trundle quilt.
Isn't a
Hmm.
trundle one of those little beds that goes underneath another bed?
Yeah,
Like
but what would make this specifically trundle?
probably the size,
I
the
guess.
dimensions. It's narrow and long.
I guess. But they even had regular beds that were narrow and long. Interesting. I've never seen that designation before for
Yeah.
like an Amish quilt. But like look at the border here and the this like look at that.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Beautiful.
Ugh. Just absolutely stunning. But you would have had to wait 17 hours to get
To
to
get
the
there.
quilts right at the end. There's just one
That
more
sampler crib
picture.
quilt is really awesome too. Yeah. So
It's
we've
just,
got kind of like 3 minutes left.
oh, it's this, like, look at this thing.
Now I've seen one like that. I want to say in a previous auction. I want to say it was like pink and white though, or green and white.
I've seen one that's red.
Maybe
This
that's what
one,
I'm
this
thinking.
Amish quilt here is really, really cool.
That is stunning. For sure. Yeah.
And
Oh
I
my
think,
goodness, look at those little moccasins. Oh, I've
yeah,
moved
'cause
on to some
yes, it's all like Native
stuff.
American stuff. But yeah, that's the last page of that auction.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you just
So yeah. I like window shopping post auction.
yeah?
So there was never any like, oh, I can't afford this, but I'm gonna bid on it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, like certain parts of it, like could make you a little depressed just because you're like, oh my God, that box went for $26,000. I'm never going to get one of those. But we know that that's not true because you can find deals at auctions. But yes, very
Well, there
interesting.
were what 2 or 3 things there that I certainly would have bid on that didn't
Oh, the
sell.
unsold. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it
Auctions
definitely makes
are
me want to pick stuff.
auctions sometimes to me are just sort of like, I don't want to say a crapshoot, but they're unpredictable, I guess, because I mean, there are things that you can like, you could put a pin in it, exactly how much it's going to go for. It's going to be
Mhm.
there's going to be a battle for it because it's something that's very desirable, rare, collectible. But other things you think like, that's kind of pedestrian. I've seen those before, but people fight over it.
Well, it was like when we were watching Dana's Bobbie auction, we could not pin that audience down to save our lives because things that we thought would go for a lot didn't. And then that's Sunbonnet Sue. I figured maybe mid 250. And it
Yeah.
went for like $550. So it was really one of those, like, you can normally like feel out a group pretty quickly on. And
Yeah.
none of that worked that way. At one point I think I was just like, throw everything in the air. I don't know anything. I don't know anyone. Life makes no sense. And
Yeah. Well, and I think that, auction previews maybe skew the audience a little bit too, because people can get in there and look and see and say, like, I don't want any of these things except that one thing. And I want it so bad. I'm going to bid on it and then, pre-bid, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to wait it out and I'm going to fight somebody for it. I mean, I'm assuming that's what happens. And it's a little bit, I feel like when they have an in-person auction, I feel like you've got people that go as dealers or collectors and maybe might bid on multiple things. But yeah, it's a very broad audience of people that, and having gone to live auction pickups. So yeah, you get to see your fellow bidders and you're like, wow, I did not expect you to be the person that bought whatever, the giant paper mache monkey smoking a cigarette. Like, I did not expect you to be the buyer of that.
well, I mean, I guess everyone out in the world there, if you guys like this kind of video, we would definitely be open to doing something like this again, whether it be recorded or live.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
we were only recording just because we will miss you while we're gone at seminar and wanted you guys to have things to watch and talk about and whatever. Please leave comments, as you're watching the video, and we can go back in and answer those after the fact. Our next stream here, when we're finally back, is going to be Tuesday, September 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we have our first, discussion here about, well, we really did that like the same time. Soft covers for hard times. And then that Friday, we will do a dual stream. I think we said 7 p.m. for that, talking all about seminar and things like that.
Yeah. Put it on your calendar, book the time. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
it
will be. Oh, I already know. Like, you can't come back from seminar and be like, well, it was boring.
Yeah, it was a little dull.
Yeah, there wasn't anything to do. Like, well, I think that's going to do it now.
I think so.
We've got things to do and places to go, and we've been wearing the same clothes here for an entire week between the
entire week. I think I'm on my 5th day of this shirt.
Thanks so much, everybody, for coming by to watch. And we'll see you soon when we get back from seminar. Bye.